This is a video on replacing incompetent ancient interfaces. It's slightly different than some of the other videos on a similar topic. I'm going to talk about replacing prose, replacing meetings, replacing discussions, replacing sit events, where you sit, replacing decorative, uninformative video, replacing lone male leaders, replacing the job, replacing current professional relationships at work, replacing mental operators applied to 4 to 6 ideas at a time. And now I'll go back. Replacing prose. My point here is simply that if I hold up 2 pages of prose from Isaacson's book on Steve Jobs, randomly chosen, how many points are on this page? What are their names and how are they ordered? Well, the points are hidden. The number of points is hidden. The names of the points are hidden, and their ordering is hidden. And it's so difficult to find that people who do find it well go to Harvard University, the world's best university. It's an interface so bad that only geniuses can use it to get the contents. Prose is terrible. And I have a thing called Fractal Pages that's much, 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 much better. And my students and I are building a new word processor in Shanghai to replace all other word processors. It'll be really cool. Number 2, meetings. Meetings are omnipresent. They're the biggest part of anybody's working life, especially when you get to middle management and senior management. You spend virtually all your life in meetings. And they are cosmically sloppy. Everybody complains about them. Very few people have repertoires of protocols to switch among and try and blend and combine. However, there are scientific rules of order, democratic rules of order, argumentative rules of order, design rules of order, which have semi-structured, flexible process segments you can sequence and do in parallel and make very, very interesting ways to be together. Replace discussions. Discussions don't change anybody's opinion. In fact, they generally harden people in the opinions they already had before the discussion. The truth is, our way of discussing is fake. It's really anti-discussing. It's not idea exchange. It's sort of an idea battle. This comes from male hormones, Western education. I was in a conference, TMCE 2012, in Karlsruhe, Germany. And after the conference, on a beautiful evening in Heidelberg, drinking wonderful wine outside with a couple of students from TU Delft, one of the students, just in the middle of casual conversation, tried that old rhetorical trick of absolutizing what I said and then saying how that's wrong. It's not true that always X blah, blah, blah. Well, I never said always. So he lied twice. He lied that I said always, and then he lied that he didn't lie about me saying always. And so I called him on both of those lies in a quite powerful way. I mean, I just beat him down. What kind of parents raised you? What kind of barbaric habits of talk did you pick up from your mom and dad? You can't do 2 lies in one sentence with an adult human being and get away with it. That's 2 lies. You absolutized my position, inaccurately reported it, and then you denied just now that you inaccurately reported it. You lied to me twice in a casual conversation. You cannot lie to people and get away with it. Now, I'm very well aware that nearly every person in the Western world thinks that this is a normal way to win an argument. The whole idea of winning an argument is barbaric and stupid. You never win arguments. You just happen to beat somebody down temporarily, and they leave thinking you're a moron and an idiot they never want to talk to again. That's what winning arguments does. Now, where did we get that? It's all over Western Europe, all over America. Fathers do it to their kids. It's just an utter piece of stupidity, an ineffective, counterproductive piece of stupidity, blindly repeated by idiots all over the Western world. So that's discussion, one piece of it. And, it badly needs replacement. And I've got a great replacement called Stratified Respondent. That's gentle, powerful, and it highlights differences and blends them, both. City events. We have so many events. In fact, the default image of an event is 400 people sitting, being bored and getting heart disease, while some pompous horse's ass white male who feels insecure stretches and frets his hour upon the stage, showing us all how great he is. I mean, it's two mental illnesses involved. Physical illness of the heart disease the audience gets by sitting passively, and then the arrogant mental illness that the lone male who feels insecure at the age of 50 and wants to show everyone how important he is still. Mommy, mommy, I'm important. Mommy, mommy, look at me, I'm important. Oh, God. 50-year-old men, 60-year CEOs. What in the world happened to them in the 8th grade that they're so bitter and need so many billions to compensate? It's pitiful. And they think it makes them look strong to do that. It makes them look terribly weak, like little 12-year-old boys in 60-year-old bodies. So we really need to replace city events. Never invite anyone to participate in any event. That's what I do. I have only leaders, and to everyone invited to my events leads something. Everybody presents something. And I weave it and mix it in dramatic, artistic, scientific, business, practical, applied, imaginary, fantasy, future-oriented ways. I weave all of that into this great gumbo of explosive insight and cooperation. And there's no reason that every event that we do shouldn't be that way. Replace decorative video. Close your eyes when you listen to this video by me and all other videos in your life, and you will get 95 to 99% of the content. The oral channel is giving all of the information, and the video part is just decoration. In my case, it's an ugly old man's face with a funny-looking hat and a T-shirt and hanging down jowls. What does that add? It's slightly less boring, I suppose, than just the voice alone. But it certainly is a beautiful background. I went to this therapy place in Mie Prefecture, Thalassotherapy, a hot spring resort. And my wife persuaded me to go get the mud treatment to make my skin beautiful. And there were two problems with it. Number one is they started at the waist and moved up and ran out of mud. My stomach was so big. So she had to run to another building while I was frozen into the old mud. And then number two, when they washed all the mud off, I wasn't a bit more beautiful. My skin didn't improve a bit. Let's see, where am I? So informative video. I mean, this is 64 kinds of information that video presents much better than audio does. We don't do that because of the work required to compose those video components. Audio, just talk, right? That composition's so easy that everyone in the world is too lazy to do informative video. Now, if we had processors for doing those videos orally, like talking the composition of the drawing as easily as we talk when we say things, or orally. So if we had talk processors into video, you see, and that's what my Shanghai studio is going to be doing. Oh, it's so cool. No one in the world has thought of it. It's cool. Then let's see, replace lone male leaders. It could not be more obvious that the default image of great man in our history books is mass killer. Napoleon, Alexander the Great, Oda Nobunaga, Ieyasu Tokugawa. That means the default image of great in history is kills more than anybody previously killed, faster. I suppose if you are hormonally endowed as a male, that seems reasonable. But, if you have a brain that's as big as two other parts of your body as a male, that looks utterly stupid and then barbaric and ugly. And so we really need to look at the fact that males as individuals never are competent or decent or safe leaders. Never. And it's always a trio of a male and a woman, or a male and a hidden senior or powerful subordinate or partner. It's always a trio that leads well. The basic unit of intelligence is a trio of three people and not one lone anything. Lone woman or lone male can never be a safe, decent, capable leader. We might as well admit it. When you go back in history, you always find the trios. You never find, and as soon as you find one person, they commit suicide. Napoleon stopped listening to his trio, the other two members of his trio, at Waterloo, and bam, completely became idiotic, unable to stop his own arrogance. The rain made the soil wet, so the cannonballs didn't bounce. 90% of the destructive power of the cannonballs was their bouncing And how could he ignore that? Well, his onrush of ego made him literally insane, as most men are, because the two little things control the one brain. Um, Replace current personal and professional relationships. Uh, if you view someone's empty room for 3 minutes, you can predict their attitudes and behaviors and reactions more accurately than if you work with them all day, 5 days a week, 40 hours a week for a year. This is how little of the person is allowed in Anglo systems of work and Western systems of work. 97% of the person is forbidden at work as unprofessional behavior. We need to totally change that, because that definition of professional behavior is being beaten by the Japanese and the Chinese solidly, because they allow and invite more of the person to be there at work. And you can measure the amount of person there. I call it social indexing level. And you can measure whether devices and particular leaders and particular leadership systems increase social indexing level or not. Replacing mental operators that are being applied to 4 to 6 ideas at a time with a way to apply the same operators to 30, 40, 50, 60 ideas. This is what I call structural cognition, and I use fractal concept models to highly regularize the naming, the ordering of ideas, so that you can easily remember 64 divisions of society, and mentally, in your imagination, apply or scan opportunities relative to those 64 categories. Now, I've got dozens of those that I apply in my head automatically. Good, I didn't exceed 15 minutes. So replacing these, prose, meetings, discussions, city events, decorative video, lone male leaders, narrow, shallow professional relations at work, and mental operators applied to only 4 to 6 ideas at a time. You replace these. These are so foundational. They are dependent on so many times an hour, so many times every day. You triple, quadruple, multiply by 10 the productivity of these, any one of these, much more all of these, and you're talking about 1,000 times the productivity of the people around you, literally. And when I go into a business organization, that's what I look like. I look like 1,000 people in one body and in one schedule. And it is not hard. It is not hard. I mean, it's just like a Tour de France cyclist practicing cycling in the hills of Japan next to really competent amateur cyclists who really impressed me, until the visiting Tour de France guys came on the same route one day on the hills of Hyogo Prefecture, and my God, the muscle power! I mean, they accelerated past you on a 13-degree upward slope at the fastest speed that I go horizontally with the wind behind me. Man, the metabolism and the muscle power. I mean, that's what training does, 1,000 times the power that I have. Not to mention the stamina to go all the way to the top. That's what we're talking about. This is the high leverage base of everything. And you can work on strategy and all that big shot, fancy schmancy Harvard crap for psychopathic elites. But the leverage from that is nothing compared to the leverage of this mundane monastic level of innovation.